Good morning, friends. You are most welcome to Think Ice channel. Today we are going to discuss practicing anthropology by MAAN IGNOU, and our topic is disaster management. Let us begin the topic. Looking anthropology in the disaster management framework. Let's start. Anthropology as a subject has lot to offer in the field of disaster management. We have already understood that how anthropologists look at disasters. In this section, we will learn that how that knowledge can be put to use for better management. The following subsections of this section will make clear about the diverse areas in which anthropological training can be used for managing disasters. The first submission that an anthropologist will make with reference to disaster management is the people centric or community centric approach. For an anthropologist, people come first. Whatever preparedness strategy or recovery and rehabilitation strategy will be made, the voice of the affected people will be in the forefront. The formulation of policy and advocacy will be based on the in depth research. You might be thinking that this is something that everyone will want to achieve, but not everyone can achieve this without applying the anthropological tools and methods. In any disaster situation, the major cause of discontent and dissatisfaction from the relief providers is that they do not cater to the needs of the people. Instead, they cater to their own conception of relief. This is the juncture where an anthropologist chips in. She or he can act as a bridge between the people and the service provider or relief provider. She or he can also achieve in terms of preparedness what everyone else could not. We will discuss these issues and others in the following pages. Community based disaster preparedness CBDP. In the wake of any extreme event, it is the community that is affected first. Also, it is the community that responds first to any kind of disaster before any relief can come from outside. Therefore, it becomes necessary that community should participate in the disaster management plan. CBDP, community based disaster preparedness, is an approach where community participation is of utmost importance. This will ensure that people's perception of the event is not missed, or putting it in other words, people's perception is primary in this approach. If you look into the literature of anthropology, then you must have come across the word emic. This word means that anthropologists are concerned with the people's point of view. Local is more important. The approach of CBDP, community based disaster preparedness, aims at this level. It ensures that people should come forward and participate in planning. This is done through various participatory methods like vulnerability mapping, resource mapping, and safe route mapping. In vulnerability mapping, the aim is to know that which areas of a village or a territory in which an anthropologist is working are more vulnerable to extreme events. This is done with the help of mapping the entire area. A group of villagers or local people sit with the anthropologist and map the entire area on the sheet of paper or a blackboard where important places in area are marked like schools, temples, houses, wells, hand pumps, Anganwadi centers, hospitals, primary healthcare centers, etc. And in case of a disaster, which of these areas will be more affected? For example, in case of floods, which areas are likely to get flooded first and which areas are likely to be worst hit by floods. This kind of mapping will ensure that people can know beforehand what are the safe places vicinity in their vicinity where they can move quickly if need arises. Again, for this purpose, safe route mapping is done where safe routes are marked with the help of local people, which can be followed in case of emergency evacuations. The basic idea behind this approach is that people know better. Also, with the help of community participation, resource mapping is done. where resources are located in the area which can be utilized in emergency and also after disaster, any disaster, for immediate recovery. This enhances the capacity of the people and makes them less vulnerable to disasters. Thus, these are also measures for vulnerability reduction with which anthropologists are concerned. Other components of CBDP include making different terms of local people that can help in diverse areas of disaster management, like involving the village panchayat, selecting young people who can mobilize people for making the CBDP plan in the first place and then can be helpful during recovery and rehabilitation process. The CBDP plan also incorporates understanding the history of disaster in that particular area and the amount and extent of damage caused by previous disasters. This will help in better preparedness for future events. Thus, anthropological work and knowledge starts right from the preparedness phase of disaster management. Activity: what should do? Try to make a vulnerability map of your locality using participatory technique and look how you can be better prepared in case of an earthquake. Locate vulnerable areas that are overcrowded and safe places and routes that can be used during an earthquake. An important study conducted in Nagapattinam, district of Tamil Nadu, on the risk factors of 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami made some recommendations with regards to the community-based disaster preparedness. It was found that women emerged as the most vulnerable group in it. In the wake of this reality, it was recommended that vulnerability of women in such communities is a major issue that should be specifically targeted in any future disaster preparedness and early warning program. This was further extended to include that community disaster preparedness programs and policies should focus on specific vulnerable target groups. Therefore, an important dimension to the CBDP was added through this study that brings to our attention the incorporation of vulnerable groups in the preparedness scheme. This study also had a team of anthropologists headed by Professor P.C. Joshi on board, Guha Sapir et al. 2006. Information, Education and Communication, the IEC model. It is a strategy and an approach that attempts to change a set of behavior in the target group. In the area of disaster management, one would like to change the perception of the people regarding the entire process of disaster management. It is necessary to make people understand that pre-disaster preparedness is as important as post-disaster recovery for effective management. And for doing this job, one needs to communicate with the people. Going by a simple Going by a simple definition of communication, it is a process that establishes commonness among the receiver of the message and the sender. The information encoded in the form of message is needed to be communicated in the lingua franca, lingua franca of the community where the change is desired. This message can be about the importance of sanitation in the case of disaster or spread of communicable disease during various disaster and precautions that one should take to avoid them.